If you're an online coach or growth operator, in this video, I'm going to break down the exact systems I use to scale Alec Miyasato, who runs a TikTok shop offer, from 5K cash collected in May all the way to 132K cash collected in July using setting systems. And as you can see, this is Alec's account. On IG, he has 8K followers, and on TikTok, he has 20K. We did 80K cash collected from TikTok and 52 cash collected from Instagram. And these are the payments here. And we had 2 TikTok setters and 1 Instagram setters. And the way we scaled him in the 3 months really boils down to 5 key aspects. The first is setter placement. I coach in one of the most prominent setting communities in the space, and we have the coaching community on the front end and then have the management side of things on the back end. And in this community, we have 50 reps who have been personally trained by me and 3 other coaches who are ready to jump on offers. This is us on one of our daily training calls. And having a strong setter pool basically means that there's never an issue with churn and that reps can always be replaced in the first 1 to 2 days. So on Alec's off, in the first month, we had 2 reps that had to be replaced straight away, and we pretty much got the new setter onboarded within 1 day and had them booking calls the day they were onboarded. The second biggest aspect is the setting process itself. So we run a mixture of inbound and outbound. A lot of offers really underestimate how good outbound actually is. About 50% of our cash actually came from outbound. And the way we structure the conversations is like this. From outbound, we send an initial outreach message, usually a this or that, just to invoke a response from the lead. Maybe, are you doing TikTok shop or are you just looking to get started? And inbound, we just go straight into soft financial qualification. Once we get a reply from the outbound message, we move straight into the soft financial qualification that we have on the inbound framework. And from there, the first thing to do is find out the lead's current situation. Where are they now? What do they like about their situation? What do they not like about their situation? After we've got that, then we go into pain discovery. Why do they want to get to the goal that they want to get to? So what is their goal? And then what motivates them to actually achieve that? That way we kind of are already building the gap. And then from there, we go into gap bridging. We have their current situation and we have their goal and their pain in between. We need to present ourselves as a solution in order to bridge the gap in their mind that we've created. And once we do that, it's super easy to book them on a call. All we need to do is build a bit of urgency, which basically helps them understand why they need to do this right now, as opposed to like another time. Why do they need to take action or maybe join a mentorship right now? Some questions that we ask for urgency building include, is this a priority for you right now? Is this something you want guidance with? Did something happen that meant that you needed to start now? Those kind of things basically just gets the lead to understand that they need to do this now. And then we go into a pitch, very simple pitch, and into post-booking. Post-booking report is one of the most underrated things in the industry. And it basically has allowed us to not need a triage process or a process where we have to make group chats with the closers and the setters or anything like that, because in the post-booking process, all you need to do for a lead to show up on a call is get the lead to like the offer owner. And the way we do that is by, after we financially qualify, having a report-based conversation with them. So maybe it's, whereabouts are you based, by the way? Or how's life in XYZ, by the way? And that way, the setter and the lead will just have a very regular conversation, which will mean that the lead likes the offer owner, and so they'll almost feel bad if they don't show up to a call. And the final thing we have before the lead jumps on the call is pre-call notes. These are mandatory, and it basically gives the closer all the information they need in order to, jump on the call and actually feel like they've already spoken to the lead before. And that is pretty much the entire setting process. It's very simple, but it's super effective. Each part of the process has a specific purpose. The third aspect that got us to the 132K month was the training. Now we kind of split this up into 2 sections. Phase 1, the ramp up phase, and then phase 2, how we scale sustainably. The reason we split this up into 2 phases is because the process when setters are first onboarded for that initial, 3 to 4 weeks compared to the process when setters have already been on the account for 2 months looks very different, because the setters' mentalities are both very different. When we jump on in phase 1, there's a lot of excitement, there's a lot of potential with the offer, and so the setters are always already super motivated and they're always like trying their best and stuff like that. So all we need to do is get their skill up as high as possible. And we do that through intensive daily training procedures, maybe 45 to an hour training calls, where we go over convo reviews, live setting, role plays, whatever we need be, in order to bump them up in terms of skill level. This basically allows the setters to prioritize the leads that are closest to buying. And the way we do that is maybe at the beginning of the day, we have them do call notes, following up with booked calls, following up with pitch calls, and then clearing the inbox. Maybe middle of the day, then we start throwing out follow-ups, outbound, and then at the end of the day, it's like a recap, filling out their form, just nurturing conversations. And that way, at the beginning of the day, we get to the leads that are closest to buying the quickest, because the leads that are closest to buying are often the ones that are most underestimated. A lot of the time when setters book in a call, they completely forget about it. They don't run post-booking. There's no reminders. And because of that, offer owners are losing out on a bunch of cash in terms of the people that have already been booked, because the setting process isn't just from start of the conversation to booking. The setting process is from start of the conversation to close. The third thing we do is just DM convo reviews. So anytime the setter needs help, they can send us through convo reviews for us to review. In terms of phase 2, once the offer's been going for 3 to 4 weeks and that initial excitement is worn off, this is when a lot of offers face issues with churn. Not only do they face issues with churn, but they also face issues with setters getting complacent. Maybe a setter's hit their record month because the offer owner hit a record month and now they're complacent. And this is pretty much the number one reason why offers aren't scaling and why they're dying out 2 to 3 months down the line. And from 5K going into May, we were able to get to about 70K in June. And the way we continue to keep the setters motivated is as follows. The first thing is regular one-to-one setter check-ins. It's important for both the manager, the growth operator, or the offer owner all to have a one-to-one relationship with each individual rep. This way you can make sure that they're always aligned to their goals. And as a result, if the offer owner is achieving their goals and the setter is also achieving their goals, there's no loss of motivation. Because a lot of the time, when the setter achieves their goals of hitting a record month, they get complacent. But if they already have another goal that they want to be working towards, and everyone on the team is clear about this, then there won't be such an issue in terms of the setter losing motivation. The second key aspect of phase 2 is maintaining training calls and touch points with the setters in a group setting. So we have 5 training calls a week, and this pretty much means that the skill is completely dialed and like they never slack. And the final thing in terms of scaling sustainably is 2 full team calls. It's super important that setters have communication with the content team and the closers and the offer owner, and they have regular touch points, because it allows not only the setters to get insight into what the rest of the team is doing, but for a content guy, it allows him to get insight into how the leads are actually responding to each reel. And that way, the setters are not only just being used to book calls, but they're also the eyes on the ground for the content team and the offer owner itself. And this is pretty much just a team call that we had. We get everyone on the calls: setters, closers, offer owner, VA, editors, creative director. Everyone joins the team call and we get insight from everyone. And leading into the training, obviously the biggest issue in the industry right now is churn. And the reason for churn comes down to setters' mentality and setters' goals. So while training is super important, I would say 75% of setting is setter mentality and 25% is skill. And the way we created an environment where no setter is underperforming and all the setters' mentalities are dialed in is through strong team culture. On Alex's team, the first thing that I did as manager and the first thing you should be doing as a growth operator and offer owner is jumping on call with each setter and getting an idea of what their short-term goals are, their mid-term goals are, and their long-term goals. And basically telling them that you're going to do what you can to help them get to those goals. And it's also super important to make sure that their goals align with your goals. And that way, every time you hit your goal, the setter also hits their goal and they're even more incentivized to keep working hard. Being clear on the setter's goals also helps you to know exactly when they're going to churn. There's a lot of issues in the industry with setters churning and kind of letting people know at random times. However, with all these setters, I know exactly when each one is going to churn, and I know the exact date that each one is going to churn, and we already have pre-made agreements where they're going to help transition the setter in just to make it a smoother process. That way, you never have an issue where the business dips because reps are leaving. To give an example, our best rep on the offer in our record month, Jolien, joined a couple months back, and he made it clear that his goal was to move into closing in a couple months. So after he hit the record month, we helped him transition out, and he helped us transition a new setter on because we had that mutual respect. In fact, I actually placed him on a closing offer so that he could transition out, because a lot of people try to keep their setters and hold them back from progressing. But instead, what we encourage is letting our setters progress and having that positive team culture, which actually means that we have a bunch of reps who want to work with us because they've seen what happened. Because Jolien was able to transition so smoothly into closing, and we actually helped him do that, our offer is now seen as an incubator for setters who want to transition. And so not only do we never have issues with churn because it's easy to transition setters on and off the offer, but we also never have issues with setter supply, because every single high quality setter in the game wants to work with us because everyone's ultimate goal is to move out of setting as a setter. And because of this system that we've implemented, not only is our communication great in the business, but we have great consistency in terms of cash collected, and we have a great reputation in this space as an offer. And because of this team culture, not only have we been able to scale to 132k cash collected in 1 month from 5k, but we're also able to consistently hit 6 figures because we never have an issue with quality of reps. And another way that we incentivize our reps is through a bonus structure. In the month that we did 132k, we must have paid out about 3 to 4k in bonuses, but the effect that this had on the setter's performance was massive. And because of things like this, which built the team culture, when everyone was working towards that 100k bonus, or when each setter was working towards their individual cash collected bonus, we were able to 26x the business. And the fifth and final measure that we implemented in order to scale this to 132k is tracking. So our dashboard pretty much tracked every single setting metric there was to track. As you can see here, there's conversation to booking rate, pitch to book rate, qualified rate, average follow-ups. Everything was tracked. Cash collected, average deal size, pitch to booking rate. And the reason this is so important is because it allows us to see kinks or the weak points in our conversation structure. So for example, if there is an issue with pitch to booking rate, maybe the pitch to booking rate became 20%, then we know that there's a massive issue in terms of the urgency. And then we can look at the urgency section of the conversation and work out, okay, why does the lead not feel like they have to book now, even though they're saying yes to booking the call? Or if the issue is linked to booked rate, then maybe we need to switch it to manual bookings because there's too much friction involved with people clicking the link and actually booking themselves. And from there, we'll be able to massively increase our bookings. And these kind of micro improvements, especially in phase 2, one of the biggest drivers that actually allowed us to consistently improve throughout the 2 months that we were in phase 2 for. And the way this dashboard was actually tracked was simply through closer and setter EODs. So we have a metric EOD, just filling out all the key metrics we need to populate the dashboard. And then we've also implemented an end of week form, which is more for emotional data. So this is more the logical data, but we have the emotional data as well, so we can keep a better track on how setters are actually feeling. And these 5 key things, setter placement, setting processes, training, team culture, and tracking, is what ultimately got us to the 132k month. So if you're a coach or growth operator and you don't have the time, training, the setter pool, or maybe you just don't even want to put your mental focus towards setting, then you can click the link in the bio and we can schedule a call and I'll show you exactly how I helped Alex scale to 132k and how we could do the exact same for you.